people in Josh's lab became his friends, but it often, or not infrequently, was the case that his friends came to his lab. So our next speaker, Joanne Giganti, is from that category, friends who came to the lab.
That's not necessarily the picture that I wanted, but it's close. I definitely know John's probably lots. So, I did want to shout. This was a particular time when I was working in that, and I think I took those pictures. At any rate, thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here. I'm quite nervous to speak in front of such a large group. I first met Josh through a mutual friend, Harry Lane, and that was many years ago. And after Harry died, Josh was so adamant that we stay connected. He was like, Josie, we have to stay connected. Please tell me you're going to remain my friend. Please be sure to be in touch with me. Josh, all right, don't worry about it. We'll be friends, you know. It's fine, we'll be in touch. But I realized over the years that how important that was to Josh, how connection was so important to Josh, and how connecting to people was somehow at the core of his being. I think it was the thing that probably healed him and saved him. And as we know, he was not a meatloaf and potatoes kind of guy. So, but I think people were his comfort food. And I think listening to everybody, listening to his colleagues, I think that a lot of yes, he was brilliant, and yes, he was incredibly interested in all of those questions and asking those questions and studying, but I think the collaboration was the part that, and it was the collaboration and the working with people and the connecting at all times. It was the colleagues and who became friends and the friends of friends that were drawn into the vortex of Wallman. And I think our friendship deepened when I started working at the lab. And I worked at the lab as a lab manager, as if anybody could manage Josh or that lab. Before I went to that lab, I always had this idea that research science was done in these pristine, stainless steel, white cabinets, white lab coats with little nets on people's heads, and then I walk into the lab. And if you've been there, you know what I mean. It's kind of like an archaeological dig. There are many dinosaurs in there. There's stuff all over. There's things that you think are sculptures that are really just petrified food. Papers and more papers and papers under papers and books and then papers behind that. And then there's radios and pieces of radios and that big thing that nobody could name for me, cylinder thing, and I just loved having people come in and, whatever you did with that thing. anyway, and then there was the office, which we were going to. I often thought of it as kind of like a Bates hotel, keep things checked in and never checked out. Things came into that lab and never left. Somebody was reminding me that a lot of the things up on the upper shelves were students' work, and students from 27 years ago or something. And he was sure that they were going to come back. He would not let us get rid of them. Everybody was going to come back to their work, but I think it was that partly he could never let go of anything, and partly he just honored the work. I always thought of Josh as an artist, actually, because I always thought, once I worked in that lab and saw how he worked, I thought of him as an incredibly creative person. But it's also funny to me to listen to people speak about him. His colleagues speak about him, and I knew that he was known around the world, but honestly, until he passed away, I never understood exactly how much of an impact he's had on people, and science, and his field. All I can think of is sitting there on the first day of school, on the first day of classes, and waiting for him to come. And about a minute and a half before the class was supposed to start, the door would like fly open, and Josh would come rushing in, and he'd have papers all over the place, and things would be falling, and he'd Josie, where's the syllabus? Where's the roster? Where's the... I'm like, you know, I'm not prepared. Josh, haven't you taught this class for like 27, 23 years, 25 years? You know, isn't it like biology 101 or something? And it doesn't matter, you know, it was because it was always new, he was always teaching it. He was always teaching it as if it was, he was always trying to engage his students, so he was always doing it in a new way. We butted heads in that lab, trying to manage it. We had a project of trying to clean it up, and I wasn't as gentle as Valerie sounds like she was with him, so I guess it didn't work as well, but we did get some of it on days when Josh was, when he was on vacation, thank you, Francis, because I can think of that day. He was away, and Francis was like, this is a good time, don't you think? And we got rid of all those chairs that were ripped and torn and broken and sideways, and that, you know, didn't have any backs to them, and were stained and whatever. We filled up the elevator. I don't think he ever noticed anything was gone. But so to me, there was chaos there, but it was kind of like the same sort of chaos that was in the Brewster kitchen on 4th of July, when there'd be 30 people in that little kitchen, everybody chopping and shucking and peeling and sauteing and tasting and mixing and blending and cleaning and washing and talking and talking and talking and talking and sharing. And out of that, somehow, there would be these wonderful tastes and textures and foods all day long. And obviously, it's the same thing that happened in that lab. There was all this great work that came out of it. And but I go back to the idea that he, you know, and no matter where he was, like in that lab, he had a big table. Yes, it was a conference table, but it was really a table to eat around. And it was really a table to have everybody there to share food and to share ideas, to share, to connect. I guess I'm just really, I just want to come back to the idea of him connecting to people, because I think that was, I remember early on in our relationship, our friendship, him saying that it was interesting to me to hear Valerie say about, that she taught him about solitude, and he taught me about being social. That he was a bit afraid of solitude because of whatever demons are in it. And so it was not easy. I look at him, I look at his life, and I try to take the lesson from it. That it was not easy for him all the time to reach out, and it was not easy for him to always make those connections into practice. And this is, here we are, this web that he created, and we brought together, and he wove that all of us. And there are others that are not here that are part of it. But I think of it might have been the last time that I saw him, about a week before He died, and he was pretty weak, and he could barely sit up without feeling nauseous, and he could only sit up for maybe 15 minutes at a time without needing to rest. And I was there for a little while. I couldn't stop crying, which was, it was just, but he said, Josie, I need to take a little nap. Can you just, wait for me because I want to talk to you? And so I did. And when he talked to me, he said, I have to tell you, he said, I have to tell you two things. He said, I have to tell you how happy I am. I have to tell you how happy I am. He said, Valerie and I have been spending all this time together, and I just feel so loved, and I feel so much love. And he said, which I think he may have said to people that he felt like he was on his honeymoon. He said, I could have missed out on this life. This is one of life's greatest experiences, and I could have missed out on it, and I didn't. And I felt like that was such a, in some ways I was really happy for him, and in some ways I felt like that was such a generous gift. Josh had such a spirit of generosity. I mean, that was just who he was. He had such a spirit of generosity. He was generous in all ways. Time, helping friends financially, friendship, ideas. He was very generous. So he wanted me to know that, and then he wanted to talk to me about Brewster. And he was trying to figure out what to do, how to deal with Brewster, how to hold it together, blah, blah, whatever. And he had said something to me about maybe, I could stay there to kind of be like a caretaker or something, or I wasn't sure what it was that he was actually asking. But he said, just think about it and don't take too long to let me know what you can do. And so I really didn't know what the offer was, but I called him back another couple of days, and I said, Josh, I don't know how it's going to work out. For me, I didn't want him spending time thinking about this practical thing. This is, he had a few days left. And he said, so whatever happens, it's fine. I don't really care what happens. I care about you. I care about making sure, just connecting with you. And he said, well, that's not how I'm thinking about it, Josie. He said, I'm thinking we're all one big family, and I'm working to keep it all together. So I